we're talking about is the 3 most important, best resources for diabetes. And it's kind of like 4, so prepare yourself. It's nothing epic, but I can't emphasize most of these enough. My name is Hope. I have type 1 diabetes, and if you're new here, what I do is I help empower other people to live without limits, to really conquer their health conditions and not be defined by them. So one thing that I really like to do is give you some tips or tricks, and also challenge you with some exercise or show you some recipes every once in a while. We really just kind of hang out. So resource number 1. It's something that takes a little bit of investment in your time and a little bit of research, but you can do it. The very first resource that I cannot emphasize enough, and it's how I got to be where I am now. I mean, I've done a lot of research, I've done a lot of my own homework, but it all started with the first resource, which is community. Community and support. And I've talked about it before, and honestly in the past, the scopes I've done, I've emphasized this a lot, but if you're going to focus on 3 resources that you need to be successful in your diabetes or in your health, the first is having a support system and a community. Sometimes that could be a support group. For me, I created Hopeful Health so that there could be a sense of community for people. So they have a place to turn, so they have a place where people can relate to them. No matter what type of diabetes you have, I can relate and I can understand, and I want to empower you to realize that you're so much more than your health condition and your diabetes. So that's number 1, is community. And no matter what type of diabetes you have, there's something out there for you. For people with type 1, like JDRF has a ton of support groups, and for me as a kid, my first one was a camp, a diabetes camp, and that's where I first realized, like, I'm not alone on this journey. And there are also like the American Diabetes Association, or if you want to be more tech savvy, you can join Facebook groups. And there's so many Facebook groups out there. You can also hang out on my Facebook page, and every once in a while people will start striking up conversation and realizing that they're not alone. So that's pretty cool. Number 2 is technology. And it goes deeper than just having a cell phone, but some applications or apps, some apps that you can use on your phone to help your diabetes management. And again, this is something I emphasize. I know that I share this resource on my website. I have tutorials on them both, but if you don't implement one of the 2 apps I'm gonna share, I don't know what you're waiting for, because they are life-changing, and they're how I've managed to really zone in and focus on my personal diabetes management. So number 1 is Rapid Calc. So what's really cool about Rapid Calc is it is basically a pump for people that are insulin dependent. And what's neat is, like, you put all your settings in, and I have a tutorial, so check out my YouTube page. Just search Hopeful Health on YouTube and you'll find a Rapid Calc tutorial. Or you can go to my website and read my blog, and on my blog I have a Rapid Calc tutorial. The whole blog post is about Rapid Calc, and it's really cool. And even if you don't have type 1, and say you have type 2 and you're not insulin dependent and you're not taking many meds, but you should be checking your blood sugar, this app is so awesome because it could be just as easy as putting in your blood sugars. Super simple, super easy, but it's enough where you can start seeing trends, and you can see, like, oh, I'm spiking every day right before lunch, or I am noticing that right before I go to bed I'm having problems, and you start seeing trends, and then you can make some changes. It also gives you a hemoglobin A1C, and that's really cool because as long as you put your blood sugars in, and watch my tutorial again because it gets kind of confusing, you can put all your measurements, your units, and then your A1C can be done in millimoles or in percentage, so you can put it all in there for how you measure your stuff. So it's really cool, really accurate. It is literally like 0.1 off my A1C percentages when I go to the doctor. So that is for blood sugar management no matter what type of diabetes you have. And number 2, MyFitnessPal. So Rapid Calc is not a free resource, but it's a rad resource because it's $8 in iTunes. If you don't have an Apple device, I think they're working on a Droid. I definitely have messaged them before. So they're working on a Droid app, but you have to have an Apple device. But I'm telling you, if you got an iPad, if you got an iPhone, not a Mac, it doesn't work on a MacBook, but if you got one of those two, download it ASAP, and again, you can find more on my website. Number 2 for that part is my FitnessPal. And again, I have a tutorial on that, but if you are serious about taking control of your health and your life and your diabetes and really your life just in general, it starts with nutrition. And you could think that you're eating healthfully all the time, because that's where I started. I used to think that I was eating well 24/7, 365. I knew what healthy foods were, but until I got my FitnessPal and I started putting my food in it, I had no idea the carbs that were adding up in my body and adding up in my food. And when I would eat just like grilled chicken and sometimes I wanted ketchup, I automatically just had 5 grams of carbohydrates. And I learned so very much from my FitnessPal. So if you just could take a couple of seconds to download it and start playing with it, you're not going to kill the app. Sometimes people are a little scared to play around in it, but it's really easy to understand. You can enter your own recipes in it, and it will truly allow you to understand why your blood sugars respond the way that they do. And number 3, because I have to do a self-plug, and I was talking to some friends earlier, talking about Hopeful Health and trying to figure out how to convey to people living with diabetes how Hopeful Health is a little bit different than going to your doctor or receiving some pamphlets or reading some books. And your third resource is Hopeful Health. So that whether that's reading blog posts that I post, or I'm starting to post on YouTube a lot more, I'm trying to get on a regular schedule with YouTube, so watching those videos, or following me on social media such as Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. I'm everywhere, really. This is a great resource for you to kind of get a new perspective on diabetes management. I am not like your doctor. I am not anything really like a diabetes educator you may see. And while your doctor can be a great person, and I think that having a provider is so essential. I would never tell you not to have a doctor. Hopeful Health is what I would be considering disrupting the industry. I heard that terminology and I absolutely loved it, because what you'll find from me all around is that my resources are very different. They're all video intensive. So they're kind of like this. They're face to face. You have lifetime access, and the resources, so like all the information that are in the things that I create are up to date. They're the latest and greatest. You cannot get a pamphlet from your doctor that isn't like 10 years old. And so if you are searching for the most up-to-date stuff so that you can control your life, your third resource, the greatest and the best resource, is Hopeful Health. If you're like, okay, I'm feeling this, I'm gonna go download some apps, I'm gonna find a support group, or perhaps join the Hopeful Health support group, then maybe you wanna consider just investing in yourself a little bit and see what it's like. I know that there's a lot of free information out there. I mean, I give free information. I'm doing it now. But one thing that I recently noticed, just like clicked today, was that there's a lot of free resources, those pamphlets, or going to a diabetes class, or researching forums online. But when you think about them being free, there's actually a lot more that goes into it. So like when you go to a class at a hospital, you think it's free, but there's a lot of stuff that goes behind it. And when you're taking care of your diabetes the correct way according to healthcare, which means taking insulin for all the food that they say you can and should eat, so having your diet consist of 60% carbohydrates, 15% fat, and 25% protein, you're going to go through a lot of medication. And you have to check your blood sugar, and checking your blood sugar isn't cheap. And you're going to have to get insulin, and insulin is not cheap. And it's terrible. Yeah, you're in this vicious cycle, and your blood sugars are all over the place. And I'm asking you, if you're ready to invest in your health and spend less amount of money on something that will completely transform your life than it costs for a vial of insulin, or even just to check your sugar for one day, visit myhhdesign.com, where you can find resources that will completely transform you and meet you where you're at on your journey. So while you can thrive by following me on Periscope and you can do great with these apps and having a community, if you're ready to make an investment that will transform your life and save you money in the long run, I challenge you to invest in resource number 3. And so my purpose is to help you understand that you're capable of getting in ranges that you never knew were possible. That's all I want to do. And that's all I was put on this earth for. And I hope that at the very minimum, you are able to understand that you're capable of transforming your life, transforming your health. And that all starts with community, applications such as RapidCalc and MyFitnessPal, and following my Hopeful Health, or me, Hope Mangiafico, anywhere and everywhere on social media, or checking out myhhdesign.com, where you will find things that you've never seen before offered to the diabetes community. And I have worked so hard at this stuff, and I'm so excited for it. So that's it. Those are the 3 resources that I think you need. And you can take baby steps, but I promise you, if you implement these and start using them, your health and life will be completely transformed.